Well, let's.
Okay, meeting's being recorded. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, so
I'm gonna
I just
put
wanted to
it.
do a couple of
Yeah.
minor things I wanted to just talk to you about before we got on to your history.
Yeah.
Just shows what a small world Durban is.
Sorry?
What a small world Durban
Durban,
is.
yeah.
Now, Jeff Ditz, is he related to you? Jeff Ditz?
Jeff Litz, yeah.
Is he your son-in-law?
He's my nephew.
Nephew. Oh, okay.
Do you know Jeff?
I know Jeff. Yeah, we were the same.
He's in London.
Yes, we were in the same group, and
That's so.
he actually
He's also practicing law.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a class website,
Ah.
and I write occasional articles for it.
Jeff wasn't there.
No, he wasn't. But he said to me, "You've got to go and meet Selwyn Lurie," and I've delayed, and I haven't done it.
Oh, I see.
And so there's a small world thing. I mean,
Yeah.
And then I noticed in your class photo,
yeah,
and then you reference in this publication,
yeah.
John Mader.
Yeah, John Mader.
Yeah, I'm corresponding with his son.
What's his son's
Anthony.
name? Anthony. He was in my class.
Really?
My year. He's a super smart guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's a professor, university professor
in Australia.
Yeah.
Anthony Mader was in 75.
You heard about the story about Anthony?
No.
Well, John Mader was in my class in the 39. We were the 39 class.
Uh-huh.
And John had a backward sort of personality. And he was rather shunned by his classmates.
Hmm.
And I gave him quite a lot of support.
Yeah.
And he never remembered, and he always remembered that.
Really.
And he died. And then I suddenly get a call from an email from Anthony Mader, his son, who was now a professor in Australia, who had who got the South African newspapers. And he said that there's a guy in Durban that's just turned 100. He didn't know I knew him or anything.
Yeah.
And he thought I might be interested because I'd, at that stage, had just turned 100. So he then said that he remembered me because John's only memory of his classmates was me. Was the only name he remembered.
Because you protected him.
Because I protected him.
Good for you.
So he then made inquiries. He was doing a research into the history of Israel. He wasn't Jewish, but he was doing a sort of research into the history of Israel. And he came across my name because I actually started a new town in Israel.
I read that.
We read that, yeah.
And it was recorded in the history of the thing. So when he came across my name, he wrote to Israel, to the publication. And the publication referred Anthony to me here. So it was a question of South Africa, Australia, Israel, and the United States.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I wrote to the email the newspaper concerned, the Devon Sunday Tribune. And they gave me details of who it was. And I found out that the guy was my classmate in 39. And Len Bowman.
Yeah.
Bakers.
Bakers.
Famous Durban family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he contacted me. So we met by email.
So you hadn't been in touch with him since school?
Since I was 17.
Wow. That's wow.
And we made contact when I turned 100.
Yeah. Now
I came to meet him.
And where is he now?
He died last year.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
But
Len,
when did
Len
where did you meet?
passed
Huh?
away
Where
about
did
March last year. Yeah, March, May last year. Yeah.
He was my classmate.
no? Did you meet him here? Did you meet him again?
No, I
No,
never met him.
just through email.
Yeah.
I see.
So from 17 to 100.
Yeah,
That's
fantastic.
incredible.
Yeah, it was quite an incredible story. Huh?
Well,
Now,
Yeah.
Stu and Craig, if you ever look at that article that's in front of you about Len, there's a picture of two heralds doing a parade in Smith Street. That's Selwyn and Len Bowman.
Yeah, we led the
Oh
parade.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
remember that picture?
that's me. That's me, and that's Len.
Yeah. And Shedders, did Len remain in South Africa?
Len remained in South Africa. He took over the family biscuit. So that picture, I think, was
in honor of
they were
the
heralds.
King of England.
Yeah. They were heralds in a
Yeah.
parade in Durban. That's Len Bowman and Selwyn. Len stayed in Durban.
Yeah.
He took over the family
That's
business
right.
and he was known as the man. Yeah. Yeah, that's him there. Yeah. That picture, Selwyn, I wanted to tell you, and this obviously hence how we got in touch, is that Len's daughters came to see me, and they bought me those photographs, and they bought me some pictures of Len when he was at school, and I asked them, because I also read that article about when he had got in contact with you when he turned 100. Well, you had got in contact with him, and I got your details from his daughters, and obviously that's how you and I have started communicating through that, and that picture. That picture
led to this meeting too today. Yeah.
That picture of the two of you proudly sits in the pavilion at DHS. What I'll do is when I'm at school again, I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you. So I've got the original copy of those pictures. There are two of them, and they're in the pavilion at DHS. So that his daughters gave them to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you some things from World War II I put out for you if you're interested.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can I have a look?
Yeah. Can we?
Yeah.
Do you need a walk? Do you need your walker?
I need my walk. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like he walks better than the two of you.
Come here, walk.
His probably knees are better than mine.
Yeah. This is my. You come along here.
Yep.
And just go into the bedroom. You'll see hanging up there is my original uniform. There.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing.
That's my original uniform.
Wow, it's still.
And that the first medal is the Burma campaign. The second medal is the North African campaign.
I think it's the other way around. I think this is Burma.
Burma's the first
because my dad has that, and he wasn't. He was in North Africa.
And the third one is combat, and the other ones are the service medals.
Right. And is this Omar's Garter?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a lieutenant.
Those were original. That's original.
That's fantastic.
From 1943.
And is this a SAF uniform or a RAF uniform?
SAF uniform.
Yeah.
Although I was on a RAF squadron.
Uh-huh.
And I want to show you my original helmet.
Oh, wow.
Stu, you must be loving this.
Oh, it's fantastic.
This is
Look at this. This is quite.
pretty dilapidated.
This is quite something, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty dilapidated now.
Damn.
Wow, compare that to what they wear nowadays.
Yeah. Golly, that looks like
That's the original one.
That's
the one I flew with.
Could be Mad Max, actually.
Yeah. And this was when
That's
I turned 101. Duran, who you met earlier,
Duran, yeah.
he made this
Oh, really?
and put all the road signs of 101.
Oh, that's kind of fun, isn't it?
Geez, that
And
helmet.
What a nice photograph of the family.
Yeah. I lost my wife February last year.
I'm sorry to hear
very
that.
sorry to hear
She was
that.
93. And we've been married for 75 years.
Wow.
We've been together for 75 years.
Well, that's
Yeah.
almost my age.
Yeah. I thought you might be interested.
Oh,
to see that.
absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is absolutely amazing. Eh? How's that for a piece of history?
The
This is
connection to voice,
yeah.
and this is the hearing
Hearing
aid,
aid, yeah.
and this was oxygen.
Oxygen, yeah.
Huh.
Very interesting.
And that was a speaker.
Which did you enjoy the most?
The P-47.
And why is that?
That was a new generation aircraft then.
Oh, I see. So it was it's like driving a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a new model. You know?
A new model, yes.
Yeah.
You did just ask Selwyn, did he ever come across or just know Edwin Swales at all?
Selwyn,
Yeah.
Shedder's asking, did you ever come across or know Edwin Swales?
I can't remember. What the hell was he?
You go to VC.
He flew for was it RAF? Shedder's?
Yeah,
He was a pilot.
Or never. He might have been.
Yeah, he got.
Go ahead, Shedder's.
Yeah, he was a pathfinder. And he flew sort of like a pathfinder, and he went into enemy territory and his plane got hit. And he,
Pathfinder Squadron.
yeah, he flew, what do you call those planes? Yeah, what was it? A pathfinder? What do you call? He flew one of those bombers. Yeah, he flew one of those.
Yeah.
Not a pathfinder.
No, Sal was saying the bomber squadron weren't even in the same mess as the fighter pilots.
Bit of arrogance here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you guys like the Top Guns? Yeah.
And you never got shot down.
No, but I had 5 crashes.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because of
I never got shot down.
5 crashes
from
from
air to ground?
You did what?
Air to ground.
Air to ground.
Surfing.
Yeah. And did your crashes? Were you landing on purpose?
Mechanical.
Yeah.
And weather.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's your story, is it?
Yeah. The last one was in a P-47 when the air screw became uncontrollable from the lever in the cockpit, and I was supposed to do a crash landing without wheels up and without flaps down or the flaps up.
Wow.
There wasn't time to put down wheels or flaps.
Where did you land?
And not far from the runway.
Oh.
At home. And I crash landed at about 170 miles an hour.
Damn.
And I got an award for that. It's a green endorsement in my logbook, which says that through exceptional flying ability and all that sort of stuff,
Wow.
that I succeeded in saving the aircraft.
You saved the
They
aircraft?
grounded all the P-47s that electrically operated prepared the air screw, and they changed it. It was hydromatically. What's it called?
Hydromatically.
Hydromatically. And they changed them all to electric.
What was it? A field? Just a flat area
Flat area.
And was that just coincidence that you were there, or did you?
It was lucky.
You were just lucky.
There, yeah.
Fantastic. No trees.
I did hurt my neck at the time.
I bet. Yeah.
But they got it right afterwards, and I carried on flying. That was the last one.
How did you end up in the RAF as opposed to the SAF?
I was trained in South Africa, and then got my wings in South Africa as a fighter pilot. And then I seconded to go to the RAF and went up to North Africa and there I fought the Germans in North Africa.
Right.
And after that campaign, they sent me to Burma, and I was in the Burma campaign.
So you were there for in North Africa for Alamein?
I was there after that. I didn't do any, I didn't have any missions in North Africa. I was doing mainly patrol work and stuff.
In hurricanes?
But in Burma, I did all missions in Burma against the Japanese. So I had both the Germans and the Japanese. I had both.
Yeah. And were you?
It was unusual at the time.
Yeah.
Were there other South African pilots in your squadron, or was it? But it was mainly
Henry Briscoe.
I see.
He died about 12 years ago. Yeah.
And the rest were British pilots
on the RAF squadron.
Yeah.
They were British, Canadian, and Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And 2 South Africans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually trained. We went from. I was flying Hurricanes in North Africa. The British Hurricane, and then we were transferred to India, to Burma. And then we went on and we flew the Hurricanes on 135 Squadron in Burma, in India rather. And they converted on to P-47s. So they sent the squadron down to Ceylon to get us away from the war. And we converted from Hurricanes to P-47s in Ceylon, which was a difficult exercise because the American pilots were all trained on P-47s in America before they came over, whereas we weren't. And we didn't even have the pilot's notes. We only had the guys who ferried the planes out to us to tell us what to do. Yeah.
And were these were all the British pilots and Canadians and Australia, the same group? But
the front one is the P-47 and the back one is the Hurricane.
Yeah.
Those are perfect models, actually. Perfect size models. So, yeah. So converting on to P-47s was difficult because the Hurricane sort of landed at about 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. But the P-47, when you came in, the last time you saw the clock was about 130 miles an hour. I mean, it's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, the P-47 in a dive, you could get to over 600 miles an hour.
Jesus. Wow.
I mean, I got up to the speed of sound.
Wow. That must have been tough on the body.
Yeah, it was very, very tough because we used to go up to 40,000 feet in the P-47, whereas like Hurricane could go to 25, 30,000 feet.
Yeah. Why would you be flying at that speed? Were you trying to evade somebody, or were you?
No, when you went into attack, you went in at a high speed.
Yeah.
Down to the ground from a high up.
Oh, okay.
To get down. Yeah. But then when you came within firing range from the flak coming up, one had to skid and slip the aircraft. You had to fly like that to avoid the flak hitting you.
Oh, okay.
So they couldn't get a line on you.
Could you actually see it before it exploded?
Yeah. And it was spread all around.
Yeah.
Some went through the wings and so on. And then, but when you got into a few hundred yards of your target, you had to go under perfect flying before you fired the 8 machine guns. Otherwise, you'd miss your target.
Okay.
So it was quite an exercise to fly down and then go straight, you know. And then you've got to keep low, because if you pulled up, they could see you to shoot you down.
Oh, yeah.
So you had a hedge hop going home. It was quite an exercise.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
How many missions did you fly?
A couple of dozen in Burma.
Huh.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy. It was it was pretty much your luck if you got through all right.
Well, I mean, the casualty rate was shocking. So
Huh?
the casualty rate.
Well, it was bad. It was bad. Yeah.
So what made you go to the Air Force rather than the Army or the Navy?
Well, that's a good question. I'd say because I wanted to be able to look after myself and not rely on others.
Yeah.
Be in control.
Be in control. And so that was probably the reason.
Yeah.
But I found out later that wasn't quite true, because on a fighter squadron, you had like 12 aircraft in the squadron. That was 3 flights of 4. And each flight had 2 aircraft. You had a leader and a wingman. And you had to rely on the wingman to look after the back while you were going forward. So like I was a lead and I had a wingman, and he was flying always close behind me to protect me from the rear.
Oh, so that's what a wingman does.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was a Boston bomber pilot. I know you have contempt for bomber pilots.
Not really. I remember we used to escort Liberator bombers at about 30,000 feet, going into Burma during the bombing, and we used to be the top cover for them. And the Lightnings, the P-38s, used to do the middle cover, and then the bombers were down there. But we could do the high flying. We could go 40,000 because the P-47 was fitted with a compressor in the back of the fuselage that compressed the air coming into the engine. So the higher you went, you got a higher pressure, which normally you lose pressure as you go high. That's why aircraft can't go too high.
Yeah.
But the P-47 could get up to 41,000 feet, actually.
Wow.
Was that higher than the enemy?
Yeah, the enemy could only go to 30,000. The Zero fighters, they called them Zeeks. They used to go up to 30,000 feet.
So you would be above them.
We had a big advantage there.
What about the German planes?
The Germans could go up to 35,000. But we could get up to over 40,000.
Then you were pretty safe.
But you must remember, in those days we had no pressure, which was a problem in the cockpit.
Yeah, I bet.
There had no pressure suits or no pressure in the cabin.
But you just had oxygen to breathe.
That's all. So you had tremendous stomach pains and things.
Oh, really?
And you couldn't talk too well. You couldn't communicate because the pressure wasn't holding up your jaw to talk.
What an amazing story. I mean, and here kids come out of school, and the next thing you're flying.
Yeah, I mean, I was
20
years old.
Yeah,
yeah,
amazing. 20 years old. Yeah, and it was an amazing story when you think back.
Yeah, I mean, one year you're in a matric, and next year you're in a fighter squadron.
Yeah, it was a generation, a different type of generation that I grew up in, because we missed a hell of a lot of what you guys had growing up, but we became sort of very matured and men at a young age because of what we went through.
Yeah, and you look at the age of, they had squadron leaders of, in their 20s.
Yeah, and the responsibility we had an aircraft. I mean, look at the size of the aircraft.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how big the Thunderbolt was. I mean, the air screw, you call a propeller, was 50% higher than this.
Oh, really?
From foot to no, add on a 50%.
Wow.
And that was the diameter of the propeller.
My goodness.
They were huge aircraft.
Wow.
The P-47.
Yeah. So did you go straight from there? You matriculated what year?
No, I left in 39, and then I did my CA in South Africa. So I did the first year and second year, and then I joined up. So I joined up in the beginning of 42. So I served 42, 43, 44, and 45.
Initially in North Africa?
Initially in North Africa, and then in Burma. Yeah. So it was, by the time I was finished, I'd had enough flying.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Did you fly ever up?
No.
You've never flown again?
No.
No desire to?
No.
Oh, interesting.
But the P-47, I mean, to fly that, we used to practice beforehand, of course. And the way one did it was, if you could do it, an upward Charlie, it was called, then you could fly a P-47. That was to go up to about 40,000 feet, dive down to ground level, pull up, and do an air screw, slow roll vertical, and then do a stall off the top, and then go into a loop, a 360 loop. If you could do that, then you could fly.
And that was a Charlie.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
That's what we used to practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever black out?
Yeah.
When you
pull out, you blacked out for several seconds.
Oh, really?
You had to make sure that the nose was pointing up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in Burma, the Japanese, when they engaged us, when they ran out of ammunition, they used to try and ram the aircraft.
Yes.
Because they reckoned 1 for 1 was a fair deal. We didn't agree with that. So the only way you could get out of it was to roll over on your back, pull the stick backwards, and go straight down like that. And then we'd get up to over 600 miles an hour. No other aircraft could do that speed in World War II.
Yeah.
The Japanese were left behind, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's very interesting. You know, something I hadn't really thought about, the fact that, you know, you have better equipment and you can escape danger.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it by going to 40,000 feet or else being fast enough to get away from it.
But the only way one could bail out, if one had to bail out at the high speed, was to go over on your back to release all the oxygen and other connections and wires and things, and seat belts and parachute, and then go over on your back, open the hood, and then push the stick forward so the nose went up and you would fall out backwards. That's the only way you could get out.
Wow.
Did
you ever have to bail out?
I never had to bail out, no. But once one of my operations in Burma, my engine cut after strafing on my way back, and the engine cut, and there was an island just off the coast of Burma called Oyster Island, still there. It's about 1.5 miles wide, and on that island was a grave. It was a dummy grave with a headstone with Pilot Officer Prune on it. P.O. Prune was a magazine we used to get showing caricatures of things you shouldn't do, you know, to make you remember things. So they had P.O. Prune on the grave, and in the grave was food and radio equipment. So that if you had to bail out, you made for oyster, bailed out over oyster, got into the grave,
yeah,
and the Navy would come in at night and pick you up and bring you back.
Good heavens.
So it happened to me that I cut them I made for oyster, but it caught on just in time.
So you
fly back to Chittagong.
Oh,
I see.
Yeah. Chittagong was the place we operated from, on the border of India and Burma.
Now, after the what was did you go back to Durban, or did you go to Zimbabwe?
I went back to Durban, and then had a long problem qualifying after all that.
To finish your CPA.
Yeah.
But I finished my CPA, started up a practice in Durban, in colonisation chambers, which used to be next to Amsterdam House in West Street, and started up a practice and employed my first employee, my first secretary, who I married.
As one does, yeah.
Yeah. Who I married, and we lasted for 74
years.
I've actually been thinking.
She was a good hire.
Well, the bad shot.
I was just thinking about that actually, because one of my partners, I was at Garlick and Rossfield, one of my partners married his secretary, and suddenly I thought, I'm so glad my wife wasn't a secretary. Otherwise I might have lost her.
Yeah.
She wasn't Jewish. She was Christian, and she converted to Judaism. So we actually married in a Jewish synagogue
I see.
in Durban. And then I sold my practice after about 7 years. That's when we decided to get married. And at the same time, I'd met a guy from Johannesburg, also an ex-Air Force pilot, who was a CA, who was interested in buying my practice. And I sold my practice to him, got married, and at the same time I had an offer to run a new town in Israel.
That's right, yeah. I read that, yeah.
I accepted that offer because that was something different.
Yeah, how did they ask you to do that? Why were you picked to do that? I mean, had you got connections with Israel?
No, I had no connection. As much as you did.
Yeah.
And but I was qualified because I was also a master builder at that stage. One of my clients was a building contractor, which I took over. And I ran that as a sideline and became a master builder.
You learned to lay bricks?
I didn't lay bricks. I did the design.
Yeah.
I did a lot of architectural design work. And also on the job, I did a lot of supervising. So I had a building background, construction background, sort of town planning, and I had the financial background. And they needed a guy to sort out this new town called Ashkelon, where there were 8,000 people living there, all people who had escaped from the German Nazi camps.
Yeah.
They were housed at this new decentralized city called Ashkelon.
But before it was Ashkelon was something else, wasn't it? According to the...
Yeah, it was
Africa.
Ashkelon.
I see.
It was an old Arab city.
Yeah.
But they built a new modern city next to it.
Were they mainly South African Jews who went there, or was it?
No, they were all from Germany. But the money came from South Africa because while I was away, it was a South African Jewish appeal, I think they call themselves. they collected large amounts of money, large tons of cash for the benefit of those coming out of Germany. And I don't know how many million they collected, but the Israel government suggested that they send that money to Israel to build a new city. And that was a South African connection. The money actually came from South Africa.
Oh, what a wonderful contribution.
Yeah. And that came from South Africa to Israel. And they formed two public companies there to build a city. And I was CEO of the two companies. So I was like the founder of Ashkelon.
Is it still
There's a
big place now?
150,000 people, 180,000 living there now.
It's on the coast?
Yeah, it's about 8 miles north of Gaza.
Oh, golly.
When I was there, it was exactly the same as it is today. They called them then the Fedayeen, the Arab gangs.
Yeah.
And they used to come over and shoot us up.
Golly.
Yeah. So we had shelters, what do you call them?
Bomb shelters.
Yeah, well.
Bomb shelters in our front garden under the ground. And
well, so this stuff has been going on for decades.
It's been going on since 1945. Yeah.
Craig, Stu. Craig,
Go ahead,
sorry to interrupt. I'm only limited in the time that I can stay on the call, and I'm going to my time's up. So
okay.
this is it's one good excuse for this to be continued. So